Hey, Tracy Nelson here with Creation Adventures and Outdoor Education. Today we're in my little shop, and for several years I've been playing around making a few knives, and show you a couple of them. And now I've done some knife making where you go from point A to point B. In other words, I've forged the blades. This is a forged knife. This is actually a knife. This was I made it after the Horace Kephart design knife. If you're not familiar with that, you can look it up. The Kephart knife. Anyway, this was out of I think a Discara. I cut the metal out of a Discara blade and forged that, shaped it. And you see it's nothing fancy. Alright, I'm not a fancy knife maker. Just mainly for utilitarian reasons. In other words, purpose, for use. Alright, made the sheath. So that's a forged knife I've made. Now here's a brute of a knife. There's my sheath for this knife. This is it's supposed to have been like the Tom Brown tracker knife design, and I built it out of a leaf spring from the old horse and buggy days. Now this knife is, like I said, it's not fancy. You can see the hammer marks and stuff in the blade where the carbon has been beat into the blade. Anyway, this is one tough knife right here, and we'll have some fun, and I'll do some demonstration with this knife. You're not going to tear this knife up for sure. But there again, it's not fancy. It's for use, for hard use. And then recently I do some I've been buying my blades. I've been cheating, because people, you know, unless you make something really pretty and shiny, people just don't really want to pay a lot for a custom knife. So I've been buying blades from Knives of the North or Kellum, either one, Kellum knives. And so these are stick tang knives where the tang comes all the way through. It's a hidden tang knife, and I've been putting the handles on them, building some sheaths now. So I do that now. Here's another one. That's a Kellum blade, just a real simple knife, nothing fancy, just for use. Now I love using, building them for use. And then another thing I do is there's several ways you can build a knife. You can, of course, hand forge your blades. You can cut metal out of something, and you can shape it on your sander or with files or whatever, and put the bevel on that way. Or you can repurpose a blade, reshape it, put a new edge on it, and put a different handle on it, and that's what this is. This is a Murphy blade from R. Murphy. This knife used to look like this one. Okay, and what I've done is reshaped the blade and put a new handle on it and made it into like a hunting fishing knife. Pretty nice. That's an Osage orange handle. Now, I showed you all that to say this. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you we're going to go step by step by taking this utility knife, which really doesn't look like much of a hunting and fishing knife, and what we're going to do is we're going to build this out of it. Alright, same knife, but we're going to build this out of it. I'm going to and the thing is, you can buy these for, I don't know, around $15 maybe. You might get them cheaper than that. I have found them for $1 a piece at yard sales. And so when it's all said and done, I'll show you how to make it into this, to a really good outdoor knife. And don't let this fool you. Don't let the looks of this thing fool you, because what I have seen over the years is what most people carry into the woods is really not very good for doing actual work with. This is a working knife, okay? And I'll show you why I prefer that one on the next video. Okay, so what we want to do is repurpose this utility knife. Now, this came from, I bought these on eBay. I bought them, bought 12 of them. And they're listed as what's called a rubber knife. Yeah. Murphy rubber knives. Because I think they use them maybe in like tire factories or something. I don't know. But I can tell you from experience in making many knives with this blade is that is one tough blade that sharpens up razor sharp time and time again. Okay? Now what we want to do is we want to convert it into something like this. Just real simple. So we're repurposing that utility knife into something that looks more like a hunting, fishing, outdoor knife. Okay? So the first thing we want to look at is the dimensions of this blade. Alright, so it's 3 7/8 long, the blade is 3 7/8, and then at the widest part it's going to be right at 3/4 of an inch, and then it's going to taper down where the bend is to about a 1/2 inch. Maybe 5/8. Let's say 5/8. Okay. Now I'm going to cheat because I already have this blade made out, and I'm just going to hold it steady like that right there, and then trace that blade, something like that right there. Now the dimensions are not. It's going to be more preference than anything. Okay. That's kind of what that's going to look like. As you can see that. That's what it's going to look like. So all I've done is I've cut this blade off. All right. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut that blade, and then I'm going to put this edge at a right angle. I'm going to grind that down with a belt sander, a bench belt sander, and I'm going to shape that blade to look more like that blade. But I'm also going to remove this guard. That's going to be my next step, is to remove that guard. Okay. And I'm also going to drill a hole for a lanyard, and I'll discuss that in a minute. So let's go on over here where you can see, and really removing the guard is just a personal preference. I just don't like this guard for what I'm doing with it, and really it's just pretty simple. Back and forth a little bit, and then it'll eventually break off there. So step 1, to measure it. Step 2, basically remove the guard, and you can see a little better what it's going to look like. Now I could leave this handle just like it is if I wanted to. Leave it like it is, put a hole in there for a lanyard. But I'm gonna shape that handle. I'm gonna narrow it some because I like it a little more narrow for my feel. Okay, but obviously these work good, and people use them all the time, so that the round handle would be fine also. There again, we're just repurposing something. We're kind of getting our feet wet. If you've never made a knife, which when I started knife making it's been about 15 years ago now, I didn't have a clue, and I started out with repurposing different blades and stuff like that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this blade off, and I'll show you that. In this step, of course, if you're going to use I recommend some personal protection. Better safe than sorry. Simple as that. That's what it looks like now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grind it down to my black mark and just finish shaping that to the shape of the blade that I like. Now, let me really quick show you why I prefer the Murphy blade. Because I have found that what most guys carry in the woods as far as knives, although they may be a pretty knife, most of them are junk. I want to be honest with you. Most of what I see guys carry is junk when it comes to actual working in the woods in real situations. Look at this. See what I can do with that blade? And it's going to go back true every time, no matter which way I bend it. This is some tough metal. It's high carbon metal, but this is good metal, and that's what you need day in and day out. You need something that's going to hold up to a variety of tasks.